Okay, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is, I'll name this segment later, GTG Spits That Grease, etc., etc., etc. Work in progress. The title hasn't already given me away yet, which I'm sure it has. We're going to talk a little bit about DSP being featured on the front page of Kick on, let's see, when was that? That was February 24th of 2025, our current year of gout and failure. And his behavior, I should say, like his behavior when this happened, and then what happened after the fact. So, for one reason or another, DSP is featured on the front page. Maybe somebody who was over there at Kick decided to throw him a bone because he didn't have crazy viewership. So maybe they felt bad for him. Pity, you know, things that DSP understand, that Phil Burnell, DSP Darksydephil, Dark Geppetto, has always tried to coach out of people. Pity. Apparently someone felt bad for him, so they decided to throw him on the front page. In the period of time that he was up there, which it may have been an hour, it may have been less than that, to be honest with you, he turns off, let me pull up my notes here. Yes, I have notes. I'm not a professional though, but I have notes. He turns off 1 hour subscriber mode so people could come into his chat, and inevitably it turned into an absolute shit show with trolls. And he put up with it, at least so it seems, until that hour was up, or until he was taken off of the front page, or he was rotated out or whatever. And he goes right back to the relentless begging, goes back to being a dickhead and all of that shit. So, my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, and this is part of this overall argument that I've had for a while, you know, is DSP suffering from behavioral issues? Is he autistic? You know what I'm saying? Whatever. What are you, just off of that small bit, that little morsel that I've given you guys, what do you guys make of that? For me, it just really kind of shows you what kind of grimy piece of shit he is. Someone who's willing to, he knows what the rules are. He understands what the rules are, but he want to do what he wants. And in his head, he should be able to get away with it. So in this particular situation, he was featured on the front page. That's never happened as far as I know, at least as it pertains to Kick. So he wanted to try to present himself as a welcoming space as he could, right? And he was cosplaying. He was cosplaying as a streamer. He was cosplaying as someone who really does want to have a healthy community and yada, yada, yada. And that he is supposedly has the thickest skin on the internet. And he could deal with criticism and mocking and banter and all that bullshit. But the moment that he was removed from the page, or he got rotated out, which means that on another monitor, or at least at another tab, he was keeping tabs on that. The moment that he got taken off front page, he went right back to who he was and what he was. That right there opens up a couple of different avenues of conversation. One, if you were going to just revert back to the piece of human trash that you are, why did you even bother cosplaying for an hour or whatever it was while you were on the front page? Why did you even bother changing up? You weren't going to be able to hold any of those people anyway, because as soon as the lights turned off, you know what I'm saying? You reverted right back to the piece of shit that you were. The e-beggar, scumbag, useless vato that you've always presented yourself as. So what was the point of you even doing it? What was the thing? Well, that's probably where your mental illness comes into play. When it benefits you, I think that you'll sit there and you'll try to play the part. But your impulses and whatnot, and how your brain works, is telling you this is going to work. You got to go back to what you were doing. You got to go back to what you're doing. You got to go back to what you're doing. See, as the years have gone on, and as DSP gets older and older, this mock image of being normal and being average, and he's just this regular guy, and everybody who follows him is mentally ill, that's just going to eventually slip away. He can't maintain it. It's just like that nice guy bullshit that he tried to pull back in 2017, 2018, 2019, that ended up falling away as soon as Kino Casino brought him under wing. As soon as they brought him to a whole new trotter, and he started eating from that, all that bullshit that he tried to cultivate over the years just melted away like butter. You know what I'm saying? Like butter on freshly fried fucking pork chops and shit. Cajun pork chops, actually. I want them to be seasoned right. Like that. Same concept. So it makes you really wonder, why would he put himself through the mental gymnastics of doing all that nonsense, knowing damn well he couldn't maintain it? It just seems frivolous, if nothing else. Now, in a lot of ways, though, or the other side of that argument, or that coin, or just the other side of this bacon that we're flipping over, it's very possible that this was almost like a test for him. being like, okay, I'm being spotlighted right now, like how, you know, Twitch loved him in his streams. If I can go ahead and show for this small period of time that I'm on the front page, and I'm willing to play ball, I'm willing to play the game that they want me to play, maybe this will get me closer and closer to that that partnership deal that he wants with them, which gives him like a steady paycheck and so on and so forth. So maybe that's what he's trying to finagle. Maybe that's what he's trying to shoot for. But yet again, it falls apart if, you know, him trying to play ball and him trying to come across like I can be the good employee, even though supposedly in air quotes he runs his own business, that he can be a good employee, he can be cooperative and all that nonsense. It all falls away the moment that he got taken off the front page and he reverted back to what he was. See, it's not just it's not them just putting him in position on the front page, right? It's what he does not only during that duration, it's what happens after that. And DSP, Phil Burnell, Darksydephil, Dark Geppetto has never figured that out. A lot of lolcows never have. When the light's on them, oh, I gotta be a good monkey. I gotta go ahead and be a good performer. You know what I'm saying? Gotta perform the way they want me to. But as soon as the lights shut off, they go back to the piece of garbages that they always were. And he's never figured that out. You would think all that time on Twitch, he would have learned something. When every once in a while an administrator would come into his chat and chill for a minute, they would bounce out. Just because that person left your chat didn't mean they still didn't have you on a tab, didn't mean they still weren't listening to you, or i.e. they weren't keeping tabs on you. These idiots never figured that shit out. In turn, I think that brief period of time means nothing. It just goes to show what kind of fraud he is. And that's saying a lot when you look at streaming, in that not everybody who streams is a fraud, but there's a lot of frauds who stream. There's a lot of frauds that stream. But for someone to be so belligerent, so blatant, and so overtly obvious about how much of a fake, a fraud, and a liar that he is, it's one of the reasons why he'll never make it anywhere. You know what I'm saying? He'll never be able to really accomplish anything. And then I'm hearing about this young lady, Lex, or is it Strangely Lex, who ain't sat there and, at least for the night, we'll see how it goes in the days to come, but at least for the night, was able to pull Iron Chef Sakai over there, and he's sitting there making it rain on her and shit, and I don't see a stripper pole. That tells you something. That tells you something. So, yet again, 2025 is going to be an interesting year for DSP because, excuse me, with every new person who enters the vortex or dips their toes into the vortex to various degrees, he, as much as the opportunity for new people to be exposed to the gout, to be exposed to the virus, to be exposed to the pignosis, it also opens the doors for those people to provide a way out for some of the dents, the wheelchair symbols, the paid pigs, and the whales as well. It's a two-sided, you know what I'm saying? It's a double-edged sword. And I don't think that's something that DSP takes into account. I don't think that's something that we as detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, at least some of us, maybe that's something that we don't give enough credit to. That for every door that DSP opens, it's also a way out for some of the people that are associated with him, even no matter how temporary it is. You know what I'm saying? Because truth be told, if you're a dent, if you're a pay pig, if you're a wheelchair symbol, if you're a whale, you're gonna always be able to find refuge amongst detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, or at least some of them, for some period of time. But you're almost always gonna go back, or you're gonna get outed like fucking what's his name, Anonymous or whoever else. He's not the only one. There's a bunch of them that have gotten outed on some silly shit, weird shit, or just disturbing shit. So it's one of the two, either or you could just come over here and just be completely normal and shut the fuck up. That might help you too. So it's always gonna be one of those three aspects, one of those three issues. But I don't think DSP is ever looked at as something viable that would actually cling to him or hold on, or something that would be held against them for any period of time. But money's directly being taken out of the Snort fort and is being diverted somewhere else. I'm wondering if, you know, who else will be the next pay pig or whale that might consider doing that as well. They're being given a fresh chance to go to another community and throw a little money around and participate in the chat and hopefully not be weird and build themselves up, while also in conjunction or in collaboration with some of the other, you know, detractors, trolls, haters, and critics that might actually be in that chat as well, to sit there and meme on DSP and have someone else get to see detractor content and see what DSP is really like from that angle. That's fucking crazy, bro. When you really think about it, it's super fucking interesting. So not to say that DSP being on front page and then Iron Chef Sakai running over the Lex are intangible like that. Like it was, you know, it was a like a chain reaction, if you will, from one situation happening to another. But you're seeing the effects, you're seeing the results, I should say, of that, and it should really make you think. Despite how niche this community is, and it is, and as well as LOL Caldom and as a whole is, I've tried to preach to you, all of you, that DSP is not really preach, but I try to tell you guys that DSP is a stepping stone, and that's how he should be looked at, that's how he should be viewed, that's how he should be perceived. In a lot of ways, this is what you're seeing. With every quote-unquote piece of new ground DSP breaks, it opens him up for the vulnerability to lose something, anything. If you think about it, I can give you a great example. Look at the situation with Kino Casino and Derek. Now, granted, we all know Derek's still floating around. He's probably on a sock account, yada, yada, yada. No one's belligerent or ignorant to that fact. But they got DSP to publicly denounce him on their show. I know. I'll go ahead and stop you right there and whatnot. SnortBucks is on me, by the way. I'll stop you right there and say, well, wait a second, Golden, aren't you the one who preaches to us that for DSP an answer is an answer? It doesn't matter, you know, whether it's the truth or not, an answer is an answer? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I live and die by that, 100%. At the same time, he still took the knee to the ass. Even if he did make Derek switch accounts and all that bullshit, he still was forced to do something at the behest of someone else. He bent to someone else's will. Even if he is blatantly lying to him, which he probably is. Derek's on a sock account, obviously. He still bent the knee. He still took the hoof, if you will. You know what I mean? Which is pretty fucking pathetic to a group of people who didn't really do a whole lot for him up to that point. He was willing to lay on his back like a common whore for little to nothing. But he still did it. He still did it. How long was Derek around? Pedophile or not? How long was that dude around? It makes you think. So that's my my assessment of the front page situation on Kick. It's still mental illness. He'll never change what he is, no matter what. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. It doesn't matter the amount of money that comes in. It doesn't matter the amount of people who watch him or popularity he gets. He's still a scumbag piece of shit, and that's mentally ingrained into him. That's not a behavioral thing. That's mental illness. He'll never be able to break it. And because he doesn't view it as mental illness or a behavioral issue, he doesn't see a need to change it. He doesn't see a need to get help. So down with it. Now, I am willing to be open to maybe it's a little bit of both, which it may very well be. You could say that for anything DSP does is a little bit of both, whether he just has behavioral problems or mental illness. You know what I'm saying? If it's damn sure not, it may not necessarily be one or the other, and it could be a combination of both. But that's kind of the real point. It's more than just one thing. You can't really tie Darksydephil, Phil Burnell, DSP, Dark Geppetto down to just one thing. You know what I mean? Is he racist? Yeah. Does he try to come across as being a welcoming person when he feels that it benefits him? Yeah. Still doesn't change the fact he's still a racist. He'll just try to hide it. You know what I'm saying? Or he'll forego it and whatnot if he feels that it could hurt him further than what it's already done. Is DSP gay? Probably. You know what I'm saying? I'm firmly of the belief that Cat is nothing more than window dressing, a beard, curtains, or whatever. But could DSP be attracted to women? Sure. Still gay. But sure. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. His behavior, I think, his actions speak more than what he says. DSP can say whatever he wants and he'll betray himself in the next snort. Doesn't mean anything. But his behavior speaks far more volume. You know what I mean? And truth be told, as mad as he is at Craig, and I want you to really think about this, in some ways, Craig has just become the new John Rambo. Someone that DSP was emotionally invested in and saw a bright future with. And then the side scroller interview happened, and he sat there and stayed belligerent about it. DSP tried to make it out that you know, Craig was his enemy for 18 fucking months. And then when he was finally able to confront Craig, Craig was like, yo, I don't think about you, man. I really don't. It's unfortunate what happened. It's unfortunate that you couldn't be honest. It's unfortunate we couldn't move forward positively. But I don't think about you like that, Phil. And I think that hurt DSP more than anything. And truth be told, going back to that part of the interview, don't worry, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Let me cook. Please let me cook. I think that was the moment of the interview where DSP started to ramp up his aggression. It wasn't when Craig said, hey, if you're going to call my integrity into play, fuck you. That wasn't it. That was just the propaganda. That was the not propaganda. That was what's the term? What's the word I want to use for that? That was the pretense he was waiting for to shit on Craig at the end of the interview. But truth be told, he was pissed off when, you know, you were going at me for 18 months. DSP, Phil, I wasn't thinking about you. Oh, well, you weren't thinking about me, but you did the, you know, beat your demon stream, or, you know, profit from the haters, or you wanted to play Street Fighter with me, but you don't think about me. When DSP went through that spiel, that sounded like a fucking ex-girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever the fuck you're into, who's been obsessing about you for a period of time, and they want to try to project that, oh, you couldn't let me go. It's not me. I'm not the one that was obsessing about you. You were obsessing about me. That's what that was. And DSP had that shit on full display. And the more, and you could tell that Craig was like, whoa, like, calm down, cowboy. Calm down. It's not that deep. But for DSP, it was. For DSP, it was. That might actually have to, I'll put that on the list, has Stuttering Craig become the new John Rambo? That could be a good video. Anyway, I'll put that on the list. But that's my thoughts on that. And that's the situation that I feel that, and that's my thoughts on the front page situation on Kick. Lex getting the Iron Chef Sakai / Darksydephil dent / whale / pay pig stimulus package. You know, he's like a reverse Drake, I guess. Well, actually, Drake has a lot of weird guys, has a lot of people with some weird cases. Why the fuck are they around? Well, never mind. And maybe him and Drake are have a bit more in common than I think of, except for success. Drake actually has had that. DSP, I guess it depends on how you perceive success. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. Let me know what your thoughts are on this whole situation and whatnot. I sat there and thrown out like 3 different video ideas and shit off all this bullshit. But tell me what you guys think, how you feel about it, what are your thoughts? And I'll catch you guys for the next one of these. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been, I'll name this segment later, GTG Spits That Grease, Just a Thought, etc., etc., etc. I'll catch you guys for the next one. Stay up, people. Later.